do have one item under the consent agenda. We look quickly at policies, and then under the second one, the MOCAP, virtual courses. And then if you go down to page, I think it's 3.
I don't remember what page we had to put the date in.
Yeah, that was on the procedures.
Oh, the procedures.
Yeah, heading general. Find the right one. Okay, so it's actually the first one, virtual courses. And then on page 3, about 2/3 of the way down, before a student independently enrolls and pays, the district recommends that the student meet with district staff to ensure the course aligns.
Yes.
Is that strong enough language? Because what happens if they don't? We're just recommending that they do, and so what happens if they don't?
I'm trying to read that first.
Sorry, I don't have it in front of, is that the MOCAP or that's
No, it's the
our?
virtual.
It's the
our-
virtual, it's not
our-
ORCAP.
Yeah.
It's virtual.
So you want like a definition of what aligns
Um,
means?
Before they independently enroll in and pay for virtual courses not otherwise accessible, the district recommends that the student meet with district staff to ensure the course aligns.
Yeah, and I'd say on probably 90+% of the courses on that virtual, that they already meet with our counselors on that. Especially since most of the virtual courses go through our agreements with either Trenton, Central Methodist.
Can we say strongly suggest or make the language?
Yeah, we can.
I just worry that we're recommending and there's no,
No, I don't think it's a bad idea. Like I said, we have kids, and like I said, 90+% of the time, they've already checked with the counselor to make sure that they can do it for dual credit, or that they can do it for, course credit, or whatever it is.
because if
So-
we're just recommending it and then we don't accept it for course credit,
Yeah, so we can put that.
I would suggest that it say strongly suggest instead of recommend.
You're still just recommending with that, though. You
Yeah.
either need to say must,
Requires.
or just leave it recommend. Because if strongly, okay.
I can see some real kickback that we get if they don't
No,
want
I
to.
get your
Yeah.
point. I'd say must.
Okay, I'm good with that. I just,
It wouldn't be a bad
Can we put
idea.
the district requires? Can we change the word recommends to requires?
let the student meet with district staff.
I'd be fine with that.
Same as must, yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be fine with required.
Something that, because if we
Yeah.
don't accept that course for credit, I can see some big pushback
Yeah,
in this
I
room.
think, I agree. I think we've only had one in a couple of situations where we've ever had it, where somebody's pushed back on it, but yeah, I have no problem with telling them that they have to, pretty much, because, like I said, most times we get it anyways, but I have no problem with adding that in
Okay,
there,
so if we substitute the word requires for recommends,
so.
if we get that in the minutes,
Yep, and we can change that. Jamie has to change it, and then we send it in anyways, too, before we get the policies back, so.
okay?
And that was the
Uh,
statement that the course must align with the student's educational goals? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure I have it.
That's in the virtual courses.
IGCD.
Thank you.
Virtual courses.
Okay? So then, with that change, and then there was the procedures, that's already been changed to have the
Mhm.
date in there.
Yes.
Initially, when that came out, there was no date.
Yeah, yep, we got those put in there.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mary, seconded by Jackie. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, construction update, Dr. Robinson.
Yeah, hopefully you guys have been reading some of the progress reports. Sometimes it gets a little confusing. You have to almost have a little key, which is area A and B and C, D, E, and I think eventually we'll get to F, but,
That's the fun.
yeah, exactly, yeah. But we've been pretty consistent about meeting every 2 weeks. There's a lot of projects going on right now at the high school. Anytime you guys wanna go visit or look, or just give me a holler, we'll go walk around it. I'm more than happy to do that. Like I said, right now, they've been working a lot in the science classrooms, getting all the floors cut. It looks dramatically different there, cause there's no walls, there's no nothing. In fact, we're in between Angel and Mandy's room, they started putting in the new walls, for the storage room. So they started putting that in, the other day. They did find one area, they don't think it'll be a concern, but, most places they cut the concrete, they found the gravel underneath. One of the places they cut the concrete, ground is settled about 6 to 8 inches. So, you can pretty much kind of stick your head in there and look around, and we did, after the meeting the other day. So they're gonna bring in like very similar to liquid concrete, is what they kind of said, and they'll kind of fill that back in. They're gonna go and drill some holes around and see how far it goes, but, they know it doesn't go too far because the next hole is filled with gravel, so, and then just some natural settling from being 50+ years old. They're not concerned about it at this point in time, so, in fact, they didn't even know it until, and they had the bobcat sitting over that area, and you're talking 8,000 to 10,000 pounds of bobcat sitting over where that hole was, and nothing cracked, so they're not worried about it, but, one of those old things you find when you start remodeling. But things are moving along good. Mr. Jones actually encouraged all of the teachers down in the elementary hall, or not elementary hall, the English hall, that they could start moving their stuff out of the hallways into the classrooms. Only thing we don't have on there is doors. Otherwise, bulletin boards, lights, carpet, everything is ready to roll. The only one we don't have done is Melissa Robinson's, because we have to get the weight room done before we can move the weight room over, and then they have to go back and do that. So we will probably be pushing it, and possibility that her class might be having to meet somewhere else for the first couple weeks of school, because I'm not sure. They're still waiting on we've seen a few delays, not many, but metal studs for the wall that will go under the mezzanine, we won't get till July 8th, and that's about 2 weeks behind what they wanted to be, and so, but everything's looking nice. The mezzanine is really, really neat. It's all poured, you can walk upstairs. It's in good shape. Electrician was running all the conduit the other day, so they can start wiring up lights. And then outside is moving along quickly. And I still anticipate shortly after 4th of July that you'll see the crane here. And they thought if everything works right, about 12 days, they should have the outside structure of the buildings done. So by the end of July, you'll have a good idea of how big the theater is going to be in the office complex and all that. So still on track, Dan. I mean, they haven't said anything that I feel like we're behind at all. And
They were putting the roof on.
roof is pretty well done. They just gotta put the caps on the outside. Otherwise, they've got the new deckings down. The new membrane is on top, especially over the. I don't believe they've done over the science. I don't believe they've completed over the science rooms yet, but the library all the way back to the art room is all new. We did notice the other day that we've got a couple of pretty good problems on our high school gym roof that have deteriorated quickly. One probably has been leaking for a while, and nobody up there in that storage area, nobody actually sees it. And so I've actually got Jeff Ellison making up some bid requirements for that, and we might be bidding that and just taking that out of our capital projects for next year to go ahead and do this as soon as we can, because we knew if we had a couple leaks over the winter that we had not had, but they were small and pretty much were a little ice dam and got under a layer. But we found one that, like I said, when they got the mezzanine done and we could actually walk back there, that was in bad shape, real bad shape, so. Other than that, I think we're moving right along. I keep telling you, we're gonna tear down the north section of the building. It's getting closer. They came in, they put like a geofabric down. They've already started putting gravel down. And they've got the entrance to where the shop will be, and then they've got the parking lot area, and they've already started working on both those. And as soon as they get the gravel, I think you'll start seeing the trucks and the stuff start tearing that building down. So I still think it could happen before the end of the month, so. Any questions on the construction? And so far, the biggest change order we've had is adding the air conditioning to the gym, which I speak with Dan earlier, and I would agree. I think we're gonna try to use some of the ESSER monies that we're getting to cover the cost of, and we might even use it for some of the roof to cover the cost of getting those two replaced. That's right now an allowable cost under ESSER, so I think we might be able to do that. So that'll help us out as well.
Okay, any other questions, comments? It's really looking good. I'm very pleased.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's a mess, but it's a good mess.
It's our mess.
It's our mess.
Exactly. Administrative reports.
And Jimmy, sometime if you wanna come by, take some pictures of where we're at in the middle of the progress,
Oh, yeah.
give me a holler. Cause people will be excited. I've been trying to put some stuff on Facebook and Twitter and different stuff like that, but I can give you a tour sometime. I want people to stay excited about it, so,
Yes, sir. Yeah, that'd be great.
yeah.
Dr. Mefford, do you have anything to add to your report?
Just a couple
Comments you
updates,
wanna make?
actually, sorry.
Go ahead.
I shared with you that the EOC and the grade level assessment scores would be available mid-July. DESE actually came out with some hard dates, so those actually will not be available, EOC July 30th, and then the MAP grade level will be available August 2nd. So I shared with you, I think, those initial reports that come from the EOCs. We usually have those as soon as the students take the exams, but this year those did not include raw scores, and so I think that was because DESE had shared, typically we calculate those into our high school students' final grades, and DESE did not want any school districts to do that, so they're not providing those. So those reports didn't include that, and then
So these aren't all inclusive?
the ones at the top, those are from our MAP growth assessment, which is a district assessment that we give 3 times a year. No, but the reason I wanted to share those, as you'll see, some of those numbers are highlighted yellow, and that shows an increase. Last year, as I mentioned, we give the MAP growth assessment 3 times to K through 12, and after they take the fall assessment, it projects a growth target per student. And so those are the percentages of the students that actually met that growth target. You know, we've been very concerned with the amount of learning loss that occurred after the buildings closed last year, and then along this year with the quarantining and teachers being quarantined. And so anytime we witnessed an increase in the percentage of students meeting, you know, that growth target, we wanted to celebrate that. So that's why I included the 20 and 21 results as well. We actually took those and broke those down, and the MAP growth assessment we can use to identify students that need to be in tiered instruction, tier 3. We use it to level our students within the classroom, and so we use the MAP growth assessment throughout the year to adjust curriculum and things like that. It also offers a predictive score that should align, they're telling us, should align to how a student will perform on the actual grade level MAP assessment. So we're kind of anxious to get those results back and see the correlation, if there's correlation there. So, you know, as we mentioned, accountability-wise, the state and we're not going to be held accountable for the state assessment scores. DESE is instead recommending that we use those to identify learning loss, identify gaps in our curriculum, and that's what we do typically with them. So I think next year, as close as we can be, it'll be a little bit closer to normal, and we'll be returning to using those assessment scores for, you know, student learning rather than the accountability. And and move forward with that.
Any thoughts as to why the math is so much different in 8th, 9th, and 10th?
Different group of kids, I don't know.
We had a different instructor in eighth grade.
Different
between the two
instructor,
years.
mhm.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know it's a different group of kids, but from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, that's the same group of kids. And then from the 9th grade to the 10th grade, that's the same group of kids.
Oh, you're talking about diagonal movement of the same group.
Mhm. It's a different than the pre-algebra versus the algebra. All the students take, in 9th and 10th, take the Algebra 1 test. And so, and the map growth assessment is, as the student answers correctly, it adapts. So it's adaptive to the student taking the assessment. It could be, once the students get in 9th grade, they tend to not take the assessment as seriously.
Sure.
There's a mechanism built into it, and we utilize that. Students, if they just rapid fire answers, it will completely shut them down and they have to go back and redo that. Some of the students, high school students, have figured out that if I just don't rapid fire as quickly, it doesn't flag me. So like I said, there are other reports that we pull, individual student reports, we pull standard reports, and so this is just a bird's eye view of the students that met those goals that was established by the program itself. So, but again, I mean, teachers, I agree, teachers, face challenges, the kids face challenges, parents face challenges. So any growth or any progress, we want to celebrate. If you look at those cohorts, kindergarten, math in 2020, 46% met their growth goal, but that first grade group in 2020, that's the same cohort, and so they actually achieved 73% met their growth. So, we want to celebrate that and, encourage teachers to continue to, focus on individual student learning, so.
And we're hopeful that DESI will start to change the state model away from a one-time test to the growth model that we've already been doing.
Yes.
Because, this is truly what it's about. Instead of having a one-time test where we measure every year, March and April to March and April, we really should just be wanting to see what type of growth we have from kids from August until May.
April, yeah.
And DESI is starting to get more and more open to that because more and more districts are starting to use this type of data, and they're showing it to them saying, our data is the same thing you're showing us, and we're showing where kids are showing growth. And that's, to me, what school's about.
Absolutely.
Kids getting better, so.
Okay, any questions or comments? Thank you. I hope everybody had an opportunity to look at the rest of those reports. Any questions for Dr. Robinson or Dr. Mefford that they can address?
I just feel like the high school attendance, I know they end up meeting their 91% or whatever on their daily average, but I thought their grade level averages were horrible.
Oh, yeah, high school's tough already, and I know we probably do as well or better than a lot of schools, especially our size. We don't have a lot of teeth when they get to high school because juvenile won't help us out much on attendance when they get to high school, and as kids turn 17 and 18, and we don't have anything really to hang over their head. And while we try to, put, activities and those things at 90%, if a kid doesn't play activities and doesn't mind not going to dances and those different things, it is hard to find that motivation pill. And like I said, I think we probably do better in a lot of schools, but that's an area we definitely struggle in, and we would love to be able to get better at it, for sure. So it is tough, and it's usually upper class. It's usually juniors and seniors that kind of drag the whole average down, so.
Which I kind of give it the benefit of the doubt this year just because of all the COVID stuff.
Yeah,
I just,
it will go up
those
next
numbers
year,
aren't-
but it's our toughest building. It's easily our toughest building, and even, like I said, even with policies we put in place, it's still very difficult, so.
Anything else?
I just wanted to, I really appreciated, Ms. Hornby and Ms. Crawford's reflections of the
Mhm.
year. I thought
Yeah.
that was nice, I appreciated they put that in there,
Mhm.
so, yeah, they're not here, and I'm glad they're
Yeah.
not here, they need a break, but you can pass that back, that we noticed that, and we appreciated their reflection.
Gotcha. Will do.
Okay, communications, any from citizens, teachers, or students on the agenda?
I do. I just have to get this out of me, but, with the COVID variants increasing, I think that we don't wanna have another year like last year. So I would just encourage all parents, and students that qualify to get their vaccinations to please seriously consider that. And, if there are clinics around and they're free clinics, please go out and get your vaccinations. Just trying to be proactive and, prevent what we had happen last year.
And I am hopeful that we might be able to offer some clinics at some point in time, either through our health department or possibly CVS or other people like that, so that we can get, now with the vaccine, be able to go down to 12, that maybe we can get more kids as well, so.
Lori, is that something we can, with COVID vaccine committee, that if we end up doing a vaccine clinic tied in, whether it be through the health department or CVS, that we can do a letter of encouragement, encouraging parents, students, whatever, come with your student, get vaccinated together, whatever, but strongly encouraging along with that when we do that advertisement for that.
I would think.
Maybe
if it's
like a
encouraging it.
mass,
Mhm.
not
Oh, yeah.
requiring, but
Oh,
just
yeah.
really
Mhm.
encouraging.
Educating them, you know, the benefits
Right.
and, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think, yes, we could definitely do that.
Okay, approval of resignations, we have two of those, I believe.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Doug, second by Jackie to approve. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion carries. And then we have some substitutes to hire. I think there were 4, no?
Move to hire.
Moved by
Second.
Mary, seconded by Jackie. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion carries. And then we have personnel to hire. You have a long list there of individuals that have been recommended. Any discussion? Motion?
Move to hire.
Moved by Jackie, seconded by Pam. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, that motion carries. And then we have a couple of recommendations for extra duty coaching, I guess just one, and for Mr. Covington,
Move to hire.
moved by Mary, seconded
Second.
by Pam. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, that motion carries. Dr. Robinson.
Yeah, I've got a copy in there of the actual budget, and I'll kind of go through it fairly quickly. But I will be asking for a motion just to set the budget to actual. The auditors will be asking us to do that, which we moved up our audit considerably. We're gonna get our audit done in July 22nd. So we will see whether we're ready or not. So we've not done one that early, so normally it's late August, September, but last year we were up to the deadline in December approving the board, you know, and I'm like, we can't have this anymore, so. Cause we have to have it to Destiny, we have to have it to our ratings people before that, so.
And that wasn't our problem last year, that was waiting on the auditor to get information.
Waiting for
back.
the auditor, we were waiting for him for his to get back, and, I think Dan, I think you already spoke about, Desi's already having conversations with all types of auditors, because attendance and everything else is gonna look dramatically different this year with kids being online and showing that documentation and how we're doing that. So they've asked for auditors to have a little bit more leeway in some of those things, we'll see. But, I'll go through a little bit. Couple things, we ended up still having a good year. We still ended up just a little bit ahead when it came to, we ended up about $61,000 in the black, which is always good. Especially in spite of a couple areas which we knew we were gonna have some problems with. Associated funds, that's kind of our activity funds. biggest thing this year, if you look down there, we lost almost $181,000 out of there. But we hardly did any fundraisers, and that's where that money would go. All of our games were limited on participation. Most of our basketball games, wrestling, we're only having 2 participants. You know, football early in the season only had family only. So we lost out on quite a bit of revenue. And we're still okay. We still have $171,000 in that account. And we will eventually build that back up. But that's an area that we knew we were gonna lose. I mean, there's just no way around it. Like I said, we had no crowds, we had limited participation, and we really cut back a whole bunch of stuff with fundraisers and everything else. So, you know, we knew we'd lose some money there. The other one too, we did end up losing about $106,000 was food service. And we knew that was gonna happen too, because just because we knew with high school that we didn't have school for over two quarters on Mondays. And then the other 4 days, we only had half the participants coming on to high school. So
And all
you,
the paper products.
well, and that's the other thing, between all of the styrofoam that we had to use, and plastic containers and Ziploc bags, all that stuff started adding up real quickly. The worst part about it is, because we were already getting paid federal funds, is what you get with lunch money, we can't double dip and use our ESSER monies or any of that stimulus money to go back and cover it. We're not in a bad shape. We're gonna start off next year about 12,000 in the hole, but I'm not real worried about that. We'll build that up pretty quickly. We saw the increases start coming back as early as April and May. If we'd had probably another month, we'd have been pretty close to being back in the black. Like I said, I'm not real worried about that, because like I said, if everything goes better next year, we won't be using all those styrofoam products and have to do all the other stuff. And we just had to do a lot more. And just even the product we had to buy were more expensive, because we were doing more individual cups and all types of things so that we could do, you know, we weren't being able to dish up everything. So, you know, not the worst thing in the world, but we will have to come out of there a little bit. Teachers' funds, pretty self-explanatory. We start off with 0. We had revenues of about 7.8 million, expenditures of about 10.3. So we do have to do a small transfer of about $2.5 million. That zeroes out the account, so we start back at 0 come July 1st. And then if you kind of follow our general fund and you go all the way down there, like I said, we ended up at $61,000 to the good. And then with our debt service, we did end up a little bit down, which that's not a big deal. We're still in good shape in that when time we pay off debt, all those things, we're still in good shape. We did able to do a transfer over to capital projects, which is good. Capital projects looks really, really big, just because that includes the bond issue, so that's why we have the extra $11 million and stuff in there. So that's quite a bit of extra money. So, but we will be fine in there. And like I said, that kind of makes all of our funds look like we have more, but really it's just because of that capital projects fund that we have all the money setting in. So, any questions on our current budget?
Move to set budget to actual.
Second.
Moved by Mary, seconded by Jackie to set to actual. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carried.
And then the second one is just a preliminary budget. We have to have something approved by July 1st. And so we do show there where we're starting to get out of the hole a little bit in the associated funds, although I still think we won't come out of the hole completely. And then with food service, we do show making back most of that money next year, which I do believe we will. And I think we'll be about 88,000 to the good next year. By the time it's all said and done, we always have a slight increase in revenue or in expenditures with teachers. Although this year it should be fairly close, even with the raise, we should be right in the same ballpark. We're showing a pretty good surplus at this point in time, just because we know we're gonna be getting extra money in with the ESSER monies. And we think, and that's just probably using ESSER 2, which is about $1.2 million. And if you look down there, that's almost the $1.2 million you see down there, so, I don't think we'll be $1.2 million ahead, but I do think we'll be, you know, we will be ahead a little bit just because of the extra money in there and the money we already have, so.
Our county monies ought to be going up too, right?
Well, it is
Over
reassessment
our
year, and I
values
think
going up.
everybody's property values just got reassessed, so,
I got mine.
yes.
I got mine too.
Yeah, so I would imagine, we have not seen our new tax rate information yet, but I would imagine, yes, we're gonna see it was a reassessment year, so I would imagine, and I think that's something we'll have to talk about in August. A lot of times when we get reassessment, we might have went up a nickel or whatever in the past, you know, we can either take a nickel off taxes or we can use a nickel to pay down some debt. In the past, we kind of used that money to go ahead and pay off the debt to keeps the tax rate the same, we pay a little bit more on the debt service. I'll be curious, but with the reassessment year, I'm guessing we'll see $1 million to $2 million increase in tax revenue. We usually have to readjust that, so we'll have some decisions to make in August, whether we, reduce taxes a nickel or whatever, or if we just add it to debt service and pay down some debt and put us in a little bit better shape for the future, which is usually what I recommend, and just keeping the tax rate the same, so. Any questions on the budget for next year, which I always find interesting? We have to do this June 30th, like you said. We haven't even got our tax revenue or tax information. We won't get it until the third, fourth week of July, but.
Entertain a motion to approve the preliminary budget for 21-22
So moved.
by Pam, seconded by Jackie. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it, the motion carries. Anything else on that, Dr. Robbins?
No, I don't have anything else for consideration.
Okay. Board member comments, a couple of things. I should have noted at the beginning of the meeting why Ann was not here. She is at the Missouri Music Educator Association Conference. Her brother is receiving, or being inducted into that Hall of Fame for MMEA, and she is there on his behalf receiving his award. So that's quite an honor for him, and so that she will receive that, so congratulations. And then Jackie and I I was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you were Friday, Saturday, went to the Igniting Great Ideas School Board Association Summit in Springfield, and it was excellent. It was, I thought, very, very good. I just got swamped when I got back. I haven't had an opportunity to put together some things, but I want to share some of the information, because I think it's useful for all of us. And so in the July meeting, I'll give you a packet of stuff. But it was very good, and I shared some of the stuff with Dr. Robinson this morning, the finance, some of the things going on. And the district received the Board Governance Award, one of only 13 schools in the state that received that governance award, and Dr. Robinson has that plaque. It's very nice.
And I would imagine that there's very few districts that have won that 9-10 years in a row, like Cameron,
Yeah.
which is something to be proud of. That's very cool.
And then, in addition, Jackie and I both received our Master Board certification, and I think we're both very close to the distinguished level. Probably after the November conference, we should meet that requirement, so.
And that's what I wanted to do real quick, if Jackie didn't mind. I've got I got a certificate, her little pen, so